What's up, you guys? Forrest here with a sweltering hot episode of the FoCo Flow Show. It is almost 100 degrees here in mid-July. No trail riding for me today, but I thought it might be a good idea to get out and work on a skill that I'm decent at, would like to be better at, and I know a lot of you have been trying to learn as well, and that's how to do a true bunny hop. So we'll talk about how the mechanics of the whole move works and the benefits of it on the trail. Of course, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out some of those Amazon affiliate links in the description as well. If you purchase through them, it helps support the channel. But no matter what you do, with or without a bunny hop, make sure you get out there when it's a little bit cooler and find that flow.
So here we are in the Cascadia Proving Grounds where we'll be working on our bunny hops. To clarify, there's actually two different kinds of bunny hops, and we'll talk about them quickly here. The English bunny hop and then the American bunny hop. The English bunny hop is a bit simpler, where all you do is preload the suspension and then hop up, pulling both of your wheels off the ground at the same time, like so. Once again in slow motion here, as you approach, you press down to preload your suspension and then pull back up with your arms and hips. Both wheels come up at the same time, completing the English bunny hop. The English bunny hop can be useful on trail, pre-hopping over rocks and roots, but in terms of really getting up and over some difficult obstacles, we will be talking about today the American bunny hop. So what you see here is the difference, a much more athletic, aggressive movement where you go down and back to get that front wheel way up, then drive the hips up to get the front wheel up, followed by the back wheel. Again, in slow motion. So there's three main steps involved in the American bunny hop, but before we get into breaking those down, you do want to make sure that you have good shoes on. You can do these in flats or clipless, it doesn't really matter, although I think doing it in flats will teach you the mechanics better, where sometimes in clipless pedals you'll be inclined to pull up with your back feet, which isn't really part of the mechanics. You'll also want to make sure you get your dropper seat post down or lower your manual seat post so you've got plenty of room to move around on the bike, and make sure you got enough tire pressure in those tires. So the first step in the American bunny hop is called the preload. From the attack position, you push your chest down to the bars and drop your hips straight down over your seat to cause the suspension to compress with your body weight. This may happen a little easier and faster on a hardtail where you just have a front fork suspension and requires a little bit more time and effort to drive the hips down with the chest if you've got a full suspension bike like you see here. So it might feel a little awkward at first, but while you're practicing, just ride down, compress, 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 get used to preloading that suspension, feel it flex so you know what's going to happen when it gets ready to do it again. Step 2 in the bunny hop process we will call hips down and back. This is going to look very similar to the manual that you saw us work on a few videos ago, and it is the idea behind it that allows you to use your body weight to push your weight back behind the seat, straightening your arms out, and with straight arms that is what pulls the front end of the bike up, allowing you to clear higher and higher obstacles. So breaking it down in slow-mo here, we approach our obstacle and preload step 1. And from step 1, our hips go straight back, pushing our arms straight, which pulls the front end of the bike up. And we ride on the backside in a manual while we are practicing this step. So as you see me practicing this step here in the video, breaking it down in slow-mo one more time, I can improve in this step as well. You'll see my hips go down, but honestly they don't go back nearly as far as they could, and my hips could be a lot lower to allow the arms to straighten out more and the front end to come up higher. All of these steps can be improved with more and more practice. The farther back your hips go, the higher that front wheel goes, is going to get you to our step 3 that's going to allow you to get up higher over bigger and bigger obstacles. So before you progress to step 3, I would recommend practicing steps 1 and 2 together, going down preload and back with the hips, riding on that back wheel, trying to get that front wheel up higher and higher until you get comfortable. Don't forget, if that front wheel goes up higher and you feel like you're going backwards, pull that rear brake lever, have your fingertip on it, it'll slam that front wheel right back down. Do that a bunch to get comfortable, and then you're ready for that third and final step. So the third and final step of how to bunny hop, I like to call the meerkat. And if you've ever seen a meerkat poking its head straight up and down out of its little meerkat hole, this is similar to the body posture that you need to get to from your down and back move. Your hips are back, and then explode, driving your hips straight up, locking out your arms, which then in turn pulls the bike up. Yeah, ankle extension, knee extension, all of the above is required to pull the bike up. A similar strategy is applied for those of you that have done Olympic lifting. The power clean move called full extension there in the green line is a similar idea. So in the blue you see those hips are down and back, and then yellow is the beginning of the move, and then full extension on that green, driving the weights straight up, arms are straight, extended, and it's the hips, the explosion, that pull the bike up. Same idea applies with the mountain bike as you drive the hips up, pulling the mountain bike up. So let's look at it in real time on a mountain bike, getting over a very small log that I put in the road here to practice with small consequence to get up and over. So we preload step 1 on the approach, and you'll see we bring the chest down so that we prepare and preload the suspension, getting everything compressed, and then we drive back to step 2 with those hips back and the arms are extended. And then here we are at step 3, exploding those hips straight up, but you'll see there's some bend in the arms there. The longer you can keep those arms straight before you go up and over, the more explosion, the more movement that you're going to get going up, pulling the bike up with the arms, using the hips to get it up. So you'll want to practice this a bunch on flat ground. Just pick out a little mark in the dirt or mark in the street for what is the obstacle that you want to get up and over. You see me here increasing the height of a physical obstacle that you want to get over. This, once you feel comfortable with the move, will force you to be more aggressive, to get higher, get the front wheel up. So let's see how we do with double the size of the obstacle, about a foot tall right here. So again, in slow motion, down, back, up. And that's our extension, but again, still some bend in those elbows. That's okay to get the bike up and over as I clear a slightly higher obstacle. So at this point, I thought it might be fun to see how high I could get, how high I could bunny hop. Put another log on there, looked at it a whole bunch. But after a couple of run-ups, decided it looked a little higher than I was comfortable with, considering the consequence if I missed it, being on blood thinners and all. So we switched it out, and this is probably a good recommendation. Find something very light and easy to knock over. So I ended up stacking some boxes to get to a similar height, like you'll see here, so that if I didn't clear the height of the obstacle I was trying to bunny hop, it would just knock over and would not have any potential fall risk or consequence. So a little windy, we'll get it straight here, but then we'll go try to get up and over what is closer to a 18 or 19 inch obstacle when you stack the box on top of the log. Or if the wind doesn't quite cooperate, you may want to put something flatter, like another box, so that it has a little bit of a more firm foundation. So we are going to take a crack at this one and see if we can't get that extension a little higher to get that front wheel up and over a higher obstacle. And if at first you don't succeed, try again, and if successful, increase the height and try again. Looking at this failed attempt at close to 24 inches, we'll see that again, that front wheel is getting up a decent amount, high enough, but then being able to get the meerkat explosion extension up was just not high enough. Probably needed to get my hips lower there to drive up and then pull that back wheel up and over. So there is a little bit of a usage of your feet to pull the back end of the bike in to get it up higher. But the most important thing is going to be as explosive as you can once you get the hips driven back and then drive up. So here's my best attempt of the day. As you can see, I played around a little bit more with the stackable height. Go down, back, driving hips up as high as we can to that full extension spot. and then pulling the bike over the obstacle, pulled it up a little higher, which helped me clear that obstacle. So as you can see, it's definitely not something that you can learn overnight. I've been doing this for a few years, and that's about as high as I'm able to get. But the basic mechanics are there, and then we just work on it more, and with continued consistency, you'll be able to apply it to rides on the trail to get up and over obstacles. So I hope you found these tips helpful, something for you to practice. If you have any other thoughts or opinions and helpful tips for the riders out there, please share in the comments below. And again, while you're on that trail, have some fun with it and go find that flow.